every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A very good evening to you. Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Omotayo Alo. In our top stories tonight. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. Now the news in full. Clerics have charged Christians to be prepared for the coming of Jesus Christ as they join the rest of the world to celebrate Palm Sunday. While speaking to CoreTV News, they explained the significance of Palm Sunday. Akin Obake has the details.
Palm Sunday is a feast which marks the triumphant entry of Jesus into Jerusalem as he rode on a donkey. It is a period of celebration for Christians as they look forward to marking the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Amidst the celebrations, Christians are reminded of salient lessons from this season.
He came on a donkey to present himself as a judge, and he went straight from there to church. That means judgment will start from the church. I want to tell all Christians to be very wary, very careful, because the judgment of God will start from his own house.
This memorable period is equally significant in the liturgical calendar.
The season of penitence and the season of reflection, sober reflection. So on a day like this, all Christians should do a form of personal assessment on how well they are faring about kingdom matters.
As the Lenten period winds down in less than a week, it is expected that the exemplary life and teachings of Jesus Christ will continually be practiced in every aspect of life. Akin Obakeye, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And so away from that significant celebration of Jesus Christ there, we move to politics as the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, today suspends the federal and state legislative election that held across 3 senatorial districts of Rivers State in 2 more local governments, thereby bringing the number of LGAs suspended to 8. The resident electoral commissioner, Aniede Ikowak, who disclosed this development in a press statement, says the reason for the suspension was related to violence and irregularities. Ikowak states that the suspension was to forestall a breakdown of law and order or loss of lives and property. It says the commission was at the moment studying the situation in all the 15 local government areas where collation was ongoing. And so, swiftly reacting to the situation in Rivers State is a non-governmental organization. The New Initiative for Credible Leadership has demanded the outright cancellation of Saturday's rerun election in Rivers State, arguing that it falls short of all known local and international standards of acceptable elections and should have been called off when violence sparked off in the hours preceding it. In a letter, Aniede Ikowak, the Rivers State resident electoral commissioner, the group says it will work with the Center for Social Justice, Equity and Transparency, Africa Arise for Change Network, Nigeria's United Against Terrorism, the Arewa Youth Integrity Forum, and other NGOs that monitored the election to occupy the Abuja headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission should it go ahead to validate controversial polls. The letter signed by Stephen Onunwu asked President Muhammad Buhari to declare a state of emergency in the state if the actors continue to disrespect the sanctity of human lives and not ready to give democracy a chance. It warned the REC that the NGOs are not ruling out the option of demanding that you stand trial if you go ahead to act in ways you confirm are complicit in the criminal conduct of fraud that is now being passed off as an election. The group, however, contended that the resident electoral commissioner in the state has helped INEC to break its own record by conducting what is now the worst election in Nigeria. And we would leave the Rivers State happenings because, of course, we'll be speaking with security expert and, of course, a legal practitioner just before the news comes to an end. But we'll come back to that later as we quickly move on to, okay, we already have a legal practitioner who is right here online speaking to us for you, Ikechukwu Ikeji. Of course, you've observed the whole electoral process, of course, what happened in Rivers State. For you, how would you describe what happened in Rivers State with the killings and violence in the area?
Well, I think it's a big disappointment because we all knew that Rivers State was a difficult terrain, and as such, any serious-minded body or institution ought to have gone in there prepared. Obviously, INEC was ill prepared, and today they have introduced a new electoral lexicon, inconclusive elections. Now, 8 local government elections have been postponed, where they have all the time to prepare. They even postponed it from last month to this month. So it's a very unfortunate situation. People are being killed. The army is there, they are not working, they are not protecting people. To the extent that the military is working to help the people, you will only see such situations in less than 40% of the places. The rest of the places, sometimes the military is conniving some of the politicians.
And you know, even before this election, of course, was conducted, major political parties in the state had to sign a peace pact to ensure that the election is free of violence. And, you know, looking at what happened at the end of the day. Now, are there any legal implications which politicians will have to face? Because some of their statement actually incited some of this violence we see these days.
No. There's no legal implication because the peace pact is not even worth the paper on which it is written. The peace pact is an agreement that is more in disobedience than in obedience. There is enough laws in our electoral act to take care of violence, but you find that the institutions that are given the responsibility to monitor this violence do not even have the political will to fight the violence. Sometimes you see people who are found to be violent, they arrest them and release them. If the political will is available and is there, I can assure you that what we are seeing in Rivers State today would not happen. There is some kind of connivance on part of the military, the police, security agencies, and the politicians.
And so with what happened in Rivers, of course, out of 23 local government, 8 local government elections has been cancelled due to report of violence and irregularities in those areas. And, you know, that on one side, now some groups are even calling that the all rerun elections should be cancelled all over because from what they can say, it's all a sham and should not really pass as an election. So for you, do you think that should be the next line of action?
No, that is a very wrong call. Because if you do it that way, you will continue to cancel it. there is no way you hold elections in Rivers State that what happened on Saturday will not continue to repeat itself, except the military authorities and INEC themselves put their acts together. Why should INEC not be in control of the result sheets? Why should INEC not be in control of ballot boxes or ballot papers with all the army on ground? So if the security agencies and INEC put their help together, there cannot be any such event of violence, of ballot box snatching, or maiming and killing.
Now,
so,
okay, putting their house together, you say, you know, one would naturally ask that with the number of military men deployed to Rivers, the policemen there, and of course the preparation by the electoral umpire, and you know, with what we see happen, the news we get, what did they not do right for them to have this result at the end of the day?
It is a complete extrication of the military from the control of politicians. What we saw during the last session is still happening today. The military is still subject to the control of politicians. And the politicians we are talking about, that the military is subject to their control, is the federal politicians. The state politicians have no way of controlling the military and the police. That was what happened in the last dispensation. And even previous dispensations under Obasanjo, under Yar'Adua, under Jonathan. The military has always been under the federal government, and they've always used them to do what they want to do. Although you can give it to the last administration that the military helped the election in Ondo State, in Edo State, in Anambra State. But the stories we had in Osun State and Ekiti State leave a lot to be desired. There are that argument of the involvement of military in elections, the participation of military in elections. We can see that there is absolute necessity that the military should always be involved in the Nigerian elections, but it should be peripheral, and they should not be on the side of any politician. A situation where military personnel are found driving around the town behind the politician does not augur well for fair and credible elections. And that is what you saw in Rivers State.
No.
That there were military men attached to politicians. No. Mobile policemen attached to politicians on the day of the election.
Okay.
There's a guideline that no politician should have military, police, or any kind of security agency following him or her around. But that was observed more in obedience than in obedience.
Okay, and so we're just hopeful that the right thing gets done at the end of the day. But, you know, even with what we have now, we still see that the major contenders in Rivers State are still having one war of words or the other. We see that former governor of the state, Rotimi Amechi, and Nyesom Wike are just passing the blame, you know, your party is the cause of the violence, the other party should be blamed for the violence. And so that is not over yet. And while we look forward to another date set for the rerun of the 8th local government, which was cancelled, do you expect anything different from what is currently happening?
I don't expect anything different. And that is why I do not support the call for the already declared results to be cancelled. There is nothing different that will happen except the military and the politicians put their acts together, including INEC. The majority of the problem emanates from INEC. But, you know, INEC from the top can give instructions, but their officers on the field may do different things from what instructions they receive.
Okay.
So, yes, the fact remains that what the people want should be allowed to prevail. If you go to Rivers State today, the people are saying one thing, the military is saying another thing, the security is saying another thing, INEC is saying another thing. So you find that in most of the cases, it becomes a war between the people on ground and the security agencies. For example, if you saw on the place, you see where a lot of the people were protesting against the military.
Yeah.
So we cannot have a different result in the 8th local government if we do not do things differently. If we continue to do things the way we're doing them, like we found it to in Bayelsa State, we will continue to have the same results. And we just take the results as they come, the way we've seen them. There's no doubt that the elections are flawed. And the flawed nature of the elections can only be traceable to INEC and the security agencies.
Okay.
Those are the two agencies before whose process the blame was put.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Barrister Ikechukwu Ikeji, for joining us on Primetime News. And, of course, we'll be speaking with a security expert also on the news. Would join him shortly. Meanwhile, we'll just continue with all the stories as the Nigerian Army says its troops is prosecuting the war against Boko Haram terrorists, which recorded the killing of 7 terrorists in an ambush in the early hours of Sunday, while several of them escaped with gunshot injuries. A statement signed by Colonel Sani Usman disclosed that the troops recovered 1 Peugeot station wagon loaded with 2,001 litres of premium motor spirit packed in 67 jerrycans, uniforms, some materials and improvised explosives-making devices. Other items recovered include dry cell batteries, 1 AK-47 rifle, tools and fish. Moving on, it is becoming one killing too many, and with the government seeming to be insensitive to the genocide that is taking place in Benue State, lawmakers from Benue State under the umbrella of Benue Parliamentary Caucus in the House of Representatives say the situation is unacceptable. They condemn the incessant killings, raping and the sacking of their people from their ancestral homes and communities by Fulani headsmen. Our National Assembly correspondent Emmanuel Ehijena reports.
The killings, raping, the destruction of homes and farmlands, coupled with the sacking of its people from their ancestral homes and communities in Benue State, is a bitter pill to swallow for these members of the House of Representatives. Under the umbrella of Benue Parliamentary Caucus in the House of Representatives, the group says the press brief is to register their displeasure at the local one manner in which this ugly situation is being handled by government.
We have called you to further draw attention to the unfolding genocide in Benue State by Fulani herdsmen, a genocide that, typical of the Nigerian state, has been played down or ignored until it spirals out of control.
They frowned at what they call the inability of a committee set up by government to submit its report since its inauguration.
It is curious that up till today, the investigative panel purportedly instituted by the federal government to inquire into the attacks has not been made public or inaugurated.
They further stated that Benue State is the food basket of the nation and that the constant attacks on its community have adversely affected farming activities in the state.
We are saying this invasion must stop, for we will no longer tolerate the violation of the integrity of our people. We want Mr. President to act like the soldier that he is now.
The lawmakers also warned that if the act continues unabated, they will have no other option than to defend themselves by any means possible. On possible solution to the crisis, the lawmakers suggested that the establishment of branches should be encouraged as a way of checking the ugly situation, and that IDPs and Victim Support Fund should be activated to cater for victims.
All right, joining us on the Primetime News via a phone-in conversation is a security expert, Emeka Nwanevo, who will be telling us for him what he thinks about the security situation in Rivers State at this time. Emeka, over to you.
Good evening, Nigerians. What is happening in Rivers State is a sad development, and as far as we are concerned, it is something that could have been prevented. And it is unfortunate that the two principal characters, the Honorable Minister Chibika Mechi and the Governor, didn't also help matters in the run-up to the elections. They inflammatory statements that may have made their loyalists and supporters become so agitated that they could not just hold their peace. Be that as it may, what needs to be done right away is an intelligence build-up. And I want to remind you that on CoreTV a few days ago, we talked about the massive deployment of soldiers to Agatu community, and that is what the government has done. And you can see that there is no violence coming up anymore in Agatu environment at all. So what we are asking for now is a massive build-up of security agencies, both intelligence, army, and the police, to midwife the rest of the month, the few days remaining in March, before any further election will take place in Rivers State. This is important.
Okay, so can I conclude that you're saying that there should be a state of emergency declared in Rivers State?
It is a dicey case because already there is that kind of a feeling by some Nigerians and some people from outside the country that what the APC, particularly, let me be very factual now, what the APC is trying to do is to lay a state of emergency in Rivers State and remove them from the state. So for us who are not partisan, we are suggesting that let there be a security build-up. For now, if it becomes completely emergency unmanageable, then of course the state of emergency will not be avoided. But for now, let there be an increasing security presence in Rivers State, because before you even do a state of emergency, you have to resort to the National Assembly, and it is not going to be easy at the National Assembly. I can be sure of that.
Okay. You know, we also got reports that some security operatives were shot at yesterday during the election, or I mean Saturday now, during the election exercise. And so even if those who are there to protect citizens are also victims at the end of the day. And so what does that say about the prospect of security in Rivers at this time?
Yeah, it clearly predisposes the average Nigerian citizen to more risk when the security officers themselves are at risk. And that is why I am also asking for the deployment of intelligence officers in a very big number, so that they can get the undercover information in terms of where these hooligans are being trained, where they are being assembled, and who is issuing one order or not. That can be done immediately.
Okay. And while elections will be conducted at a later time in 8 local government areas, of course, which were cancelled due to irregularities and cases of violence, what should be put in place to actually avoid a reoccurrence of this experience?
Yeah, as we usually see a post-election synopsis, and the people who should be involved in it is INEC officials, the police, the army, and of course the representatives of the political party. They should take immediate, in terms of election synopsis, that is analysis of what happened. This should guide further action from the security agencies, the federal government, the state government, and of course the politicians, before any other election in the valley.
All right. Thank you so very much, Emeka Wanivu, for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. And so away from security situation there, we move on to the call from the Human Rights Association of Nigeria, who is calling on Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai to withdraw the bill on prohibiting religious preaching in public places in the state. The national coordinator of the association, Emmanuel Onwubiko, alleged that the bill violates constitutional provisions for freedom of worship. It says the bill, if passed into law, is capable of breeding religious crisis in the state. Onwubiko therefore advises stakeholders in Kaduna State not to mix religion with politics. Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai recently introduced a bill to substitute the Kaduna State Religious Preaching Law of 1984. And also, wife of the Vice President, Oludolapo Shimajo, is seeking support from Nigerians on the marginalized and children of the less privileged. She made the plea in a remark at the inauguration of Mass Literacy for Less Privileged, a foundation inaugurated by Ajia Aisha Bagudu, the wife of Governor of Kebbi, Oludolapo Osinbajo, says everybody is important no matter what he or she eats, where they live and what they wear. Osinbajo thanked cheerful giving Nigerians that had assisted the poor and needy and prayed for God's blessings upon them. And the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, calls on Nigerians to rally round President Muhammad Buhari in his bid to restore what he says is the difficult job of clearing the rot he inherited. Tinubu, who spoke in Sokoto at a convocation of the Usman Danfodio University, where he was conferred with a doctorate degree in business administration, says Nigeria would only surmount its present challenge with adequate cooperation from Nigerians. And development in the police sector is that living in barracks is associated with the police, but the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, says this will be a thing of the past with the commencement of the police housing scheme. It says the idea behind the introduction of the police housing scheme is to ensure that the average policeman has decent accommodation. Correspondent Kozim Kasali has more in this report.
The Inspector General says the issue of decent accommodation for officers and men of the force is one that needs to be addressed. For him, if the average police officer has decent accommodation, one of the major reasons for cutting corners would have been removed. He also assures all police officers and cadets that the scheme will get to every level but charges the builders of the estate in providing quality and affordable houses.
The desire to own a home is paramount in the heart of every police personnel, and the urge to fulfill this natural necessity remains at the heart of corruption in the force. In order to make this dream a reality, the Nigerian Police Property Development Construction Company Limited was established under the current force leadership.
Earlier, Commissioner of Police in charge of investments says the scheme is designed to address the housing challenge in the force with a pilot scheme for junior police officers because they constitute the largest percentage of the force's workforce.
Today heralds a new dawn as we witness the realization of the Inspector General of Police in-service, post-service housing scheme. This ceremony is unique, momentous, and is epochal.
For the builders, the challenge by the IGP is one they are already meeting.
Nigerian developers can do a good job, and today we have delivered the first quota of this Nigerian police housing, and as you can see, all the men of the Nigerian police is very, very, very happy with our product.
We are developers for the Nigerian police in Benin City. That's where we have our site. We've just completed a 2-bedroom semi-detached apartment for the rank and file in the place.
How many units are you?
100 units.
A raffle draw was later held for the first 100 unit by the IGP, assisted by members of the police management team. Kozim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
In part 2, after the break, we see many Nigerians calling on the dividend of democracy and, of course, the process of the change administration. Do stay with us and we'll bring you more.
Join the Airtel family today and then get 5 times the value of every recharge. Recharge with *555* PIN hash on the Airtel network and feel at home. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Thinking of how to send goods to anywhere? Think All-Seal Mail Services. Our courier and logistics is world class. What of your travel needs? All-Seal Travel and Tours can handle everything from ticketing, hotel reservation, and more. All-Seal Mail and All-Seal Travel and Tours, subsidiaries of Orchard Security and Investment Limited, All-Seal. Visit us today.
Good to have you join us again. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. A quick reminder of our top stories. Good to have you back. For more of the news and information, do visit our social media platform, facebook.com/CoreTV News, on our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. You could get more on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space and news. Nigerians have continued to complain about what they perceive as a lack of clear-cut economic direction of President Muhammadu Buhari close to a year into the life of his administration, while most believe that the inability of the APC-led government to chart a path for the economic rebirth of the nation is slowing the pace of development. Others say economic woes met by President Buhari cannot be tackled hastily. In this special report, State House correspondent Abiola Oluwole examines the economic agenda of the current administration. His report.
Tackling corruption, economic revitalization and job creation amongst other premises endeared President Muhammadu Buhari into the hearts of electorate in the build-up to the last general elections. The president, at every opportunity after assuming office, has unequivocally expresses the willingness to leave an economically vibrant country behind for his successor.
Accordingly, we are paying attention to those economic programs that will meet the empowerment of the people and thus provide an alternative lifestyle of fruitful engagement.
But to the Elubos seller in Ibadan, Oyo State, the kolanut dealer in Kaduna, and the fisherman in Bayelsa, South Nigeria, the change they voted for is gradually becoming an illusion. They say increasing prices of goods and transportation is having negative impacts on their businesses. Scarcity of forex is another major issue agitating the minds of Nigerians.
They can no longer afford things that they were affording before. You know, things like you go to market with, some amount of money, you come back with a lot of things. But right now, it's no longer like that just because dollar has increased.
Putting it in prayer for the government to help us and see what they can do in this issue so that we ourselves, as we are looking for what our family will eat, so that it will be easier for us to buy something and enjoy with them too.
As the war against corruption attracts commendations from within and outside the country, most Nigerians are uncomfortable with what they termed lack of economic agenda from the federal government. While some say that President Buhari lacks the needed think tank team to provide solutions to the economic problems of Nigeria, others demand the economic blueprint of the current administration to know the direction of government.
We should not be surprised that they are all concentrating on corruption. That was what they wanted to do. That's what they said they will come and do. And that is what they are doing now. So if the economy is not growing right now, I think we should not be surprised.
We have to be patient. Patience is the answer. So we have to be patient. Even America was not built in a day. They passed through some certain things, but now they are enjoying it.
I believe they have the capacity to fight the economic corruption or whatever we are facing through. They have the capacity, they have the power to to put the economy in order.
Notwithstanding the position of the people, the federal government say the rot left behind by the immediate past administration cannot be tackled hastily.
As a matter of fact, this administration has decided to turn the economic disaster that we inherited to a blessing by diversifying the economy.
Regardless of the standpoint of the federal government, the electorate are anxiously waiting for the fulfillment of several electioneering promises, which include the 5,000 naira stipend, school feeding program, effective power supply, coupled with standardized infrastructure, as contained in the manifesto of the ruling All Progressives Congress. Abiola Oluwole, reporting for CoreTV News.
The National Association of Traders is calling on the National Assembly to pass a budget that will encapsulate the needs of Nigerians. President of the association, Khan Okaho, made the appeal at a media chat in Abuja. Correspondent Bukola Afeni report is presented from our studio.
The 2016 appropriation bill has been a subject of controversy, ranging from padding and alleged missing. As the National Assembly prepares for the passage of the budget next week, Nigerians are anxiously waiting for the content of the first budget of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration. The president of the Association of Tradesmen, Ken Okwawa, is urging the legislature to work with civil society to ensure that the budget is amended to capture every segment of the economy.
Poorly managing the budget, poorly, oversighting the budget, poorly monitoring the budget and the actions that the budget were speaking to. We need to see a National Assembly, a parliament that has stood up now in the spirit of change, so that this budget will also impact positively on the people, the rural communities.
The Traders Association is urging the federal government to create an economic blueprint to benchmark the development of the country.
With efforts aimed at putting the nation's economy back on the right track, the World Bank says the private sector needs to be galvanized to ensure that the nation reaches its full potentials. The bank, in its report on the private sector presented to the Nigerian World Bank Knowledge Forum, says the nation can create 40 million jobs that is needed to take it to the next level by 2030 with the right policies. Correspondent Kozim Kasali has more in this report.
Presenting a report on the productivity of the private sector in both the southern and northern part of the country, a World Bank resident economist in Nigeria says the private sector is not performing as it should, considering the nation's potential.
We didn't necessarily try and run any regressions to see how this could be done. So what we did was we looked at the 20th percentile of firms, and we looked at, where they ended up in countries, where they ended up in the productivity scale.
The Deputy Chief Economist of the Department for International Development, DFID, says for the nation's private sector to develop and perform optimally, a high degree of diversification is required. He says the nation has the wrong amount of oil.
I want to encourage you as influencers and leaders in Nigeria to take very seriously this challenge that Nigeria has got a relatively small amount of oil, and to compete in the global economy it needs to stop thinking of itself as an oil economy.
For the chief executive of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, the country needs better data to first know what is really happening in its economy. He says the policies that govern the business environment need a comprehensive review.
Our laws are not friendly. Just about a week ago, we made a presentation with the help of the DFID and go to the Senate about all the laws that need to be reviewed to make the environment better.
The report also highlighted that if the policies are right and the infrastructure is given a comprehensive facelift, Nigeria will compete with any comparable country or investment destination in Africa and the world. Kozim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Nigerian businessmen have been advised to ensure proper documentation of their exportable items with the appropriate agencies. At an economic summit in Lagos, experts in non-oil exportation reiterates that many more micro, small and medium-scale businesses will be captured by the Nigerian government if their products are duly registered. Akin Obakeye has more.
From quality to packaging to market value, government agencies such as Standard Organization of Nigeria, SON, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC, National Agency for Food and Drug Administration Control, NAFDAC, exists to ensure that Nigerian goods and services measure up to international standard. They also ensure that best practices are observed during production processes, sales, and delivery of these products.
Our officers will visit your facility to inspect it, normally for the purpose of issuing you our certificate. We don't go into the details of the GMP requirements. We just ensure that the place is hygienic.
However, most macro, small and medium enterprises are discouraged by what they believe are bureaucratic bottlenecks.
So today, despite the fact that our product is acceptable in Europe, we are unable to ship normally, freely into that place, just because NAFDAC has not given us a number up to today.
Nonetheless, regulatory authorities say the benefits of properly registering goods and services outweigh the inconveniences.
But we have told you 5,000 products, yes. And that's why I told you, you too are exportable. As you are sitting down. And if you do well, I can export you.
And especially for exportable items, certain standards must be observed along the line of documentation.
What is very important, and I think this was raised by many people here, is the compliance to the sanitary rules. But this is something which is very normal. Like you sell to Nigerian consumers, they need to have good quality of the products. You sell to European consumers, is the same.
It is agreeable to conclude that proper documentation of products and services, either for local consumption or export purposes, will put a seal of authenticity on such. Akin Obakeye, CoreTV News, Lagos.
A group of civil society organizations under the aegis of Coalition of Patriots Against Agents of Corruption has taken a swipe at the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and its affiliate bodies over comments targeted at the Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibe Kachiku. COPAC condemns calls by the labour unions on the minister to resign for what he termed Kachiku's daring to reveal the truth. That is, it is cheaper to import refined petroleum than to refine locally, pointing that it is a statement of fact based on the realities on ground. Speaking on behalf of the group in a statement, its national president Linus Ejilogo accuses the unions of attempting to intimidate the minister. The group advised the labour unions to focus on discussing practical steps that could be taken to ensure that Nigerians get steady fuel supply, pending when solutions like building new refineries can be implemented. And moving on, parents have been charged not to lay emphasis on affluence but on enduring values and to see themselves as a determinant factor that can make or destroy the young generation. At a stakeholders meeting in Lagos, various speakers from different institutions saddled with raising and shaping the child's development notes the importance of leading by an exemplary lifestyle so as to revive what they call a degenerating generation. Sarah Ayeko reports.
Parenting is one of the most important and interesting jobs anyone can ever have, bequeathed with the duty of helping to shape the future of a nation. Raising children have somewhat become smeared with increased level of moral decadence among people, especially youth in the country. Who then is to blame for this decadence?
The area of influence in the lives of the children must continue to be the weak link. All arms of the areas of influence in the lives of the children must come together. Everybody must live up to their responsibilities so we do not fail the next generation.
Parents need to be aware, they need to be alive to their responsibilities, they need to be aware, and they need to be very open to learn new things.
With emphasis on parenting as a major factor in making or marring a child, Nigeria still has a chance of salvaging the younger generation.
Children must learn to know that for everything they do, they have to account for it. They must show responsibility. They must be able to speak the truth always. And by so doing, with all these attributes, we would have a better society.
The responsibility of raising a child does not only lie with the parents, but with the school, church, family, and even the government.
So you need other people to be your eyes. If you have an attitude, the children's teacher are never going to tell you that your child is misbehaving. Because they're like she has false airs around her. Other people must have an influence in the lives of your children.
Youths make up about 60% of Nigeria's population, and if not properly guided, may spell doom for the future. Hence, the need for the immediate family as well as political and spiritual leaders to invest in the younger generation now. Sarah Ayoku, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And after the break on the foreign scene, we bring you a story of 24 people killed by ISIL. Stay with us and we'll bring you more.
Join the Airtel family today and get 5 times the value of every recharge. Recharge with *555* PIN hash on the Airtel network and feel at home.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
On the foreign scene now, a Rwandan who allegedly helped to orchestrate the 1990s genocide was sent back to his country on Sunday to be tried by a United Nations tribunal. Ladislas Ntagazwa was arrested in December in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo and has been accused of killing an estimated 20,000 people. His notoriety caused interested institutions to place a $5 million bounty on his head. Director of the UN Joint Human Rights Office in DRC, Jose Maria Aranas, says the extradition was an encouraging step of regional judicial cooperation to reduce the impunity gap. According to the UN, about 800,000 people, mostly ethnic Tutsis and moderate Hutus, were killed by a roving Hutu militia over a 100-day period starting in April 1994. Nsagwa was one of 9 fugitives wanted for allegedly organizing the mass killing. Elections are taking place in 5 African countries, while Senegal is holding a referendum on reducing presidential terms. A presidential runoff is going ahead in Niger, even though the opposition candidate is in a French hospital. Furthermore, Congo-Brazzaville has cut all telecommunications for 2 days to prevent illegal publication of results of its presidential election. Elections are also being held in Benin, Cape Verde and Zanzibar. At least 2,000 Iraqi security forces have been killed in suicide attacks launched by ISIL in Restif Anbar province, Iraq. The news comes as the United States announced the deployment of more than U.S. Marines on the ground to fight the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, also known as ISIS. An Iraqi military source says at least 24 Iraqi forces were killed, while 12 others were wounded in the blast in the municipality of Hakilania, southwest of Adita City. And it's a wrap on CoreTV News at this hour. Thank you so very much for joining us. And just before we go, a quick reminder of our top stories. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. I am Omotayo Alo. Have a good night rest.